Hi, it's Joanna. Welcome to the anatomy class. Today we are going to focus on our wrists. And in particular, we're going to be talking about our wrist joint. It's one of the joints that very often we forget about until we experience pain, as it impacts us tremendously in our daily life. That happened to me as well. After my son was born, and I had been carrying him around with me wherever I was going for hours and hours every single day, I developed pain in my left wrist and then in my right wrist. After a visit to my doctor, I was diagnosed with tendonitis in both of my wrists. One of the recommendations was to start exercising the wrists to help alleviate the pain, and that's exactly what I did. On top of that, I also did some research to figure out what went wrong and what really caused my pain, and if there's something I can prevent tendonitis from coming back in the future. So roll up your sleeve and let's inspect the movement of our wrist. When we turn our palm down, that's called flexion, as we're decreasing the angle in our joint. Our range of motion is on average about 80 degrees. However, in our daily activities, we're using only about 5 to 10 degrees. So as you can see, we're not using that range of motion all that much. So the muscles related with it could get severely underdeveloped. Flexion on the other side, we have a range of motion of about 70 degrees. In our daily life, we're using only about 30 to 35 degrees. So again, our muscles are not being used as much. With the wrist, we also have radial deviation, also known as abduction, when it's going in the side, turning in the side of our thumb, and adduction, called ulnar deviation, to the side of our little finger. Since we have all of those four movements, we also have circumduction that allows us to turn the wrist all around. With the wrist, we also have two other movements: pronation, when we turn our palm down, and supination, when we turn our palm up. So let's look at the bones that compose our wrist. So as you can see here, our wrist is composed of two rows of carpal bones that are attached to the radius bone on the thumb side and to the ulnar bone on the little finger side. That really is our wrist joint. The carpal bones also attach to the 5 metacarpals that form our palm. When we're talking in terms of the muscles of our hand, we have the intrinsic muscles that are in our palm, and those muscles are responsible for the fine motor movement in our fingers. So when we're playing the piano, we're using the muscles from the hand. All of the movement of our wrist comes from the forearm, and that's called extrinsic muscles. So if we look at the chart here, we can see that the muscles on the inside of our arm are responsible for the supination, palms up, pronation, when we turn the palm down, and also all of the muscles responsible for the flexion. And we're flexing right here. On the top of our forearm, we have muscles responsible for the extension of our wrist. So just going back to my example, when we're walking around as a new parent with a baby, our hand is flexed pretty much to the maximum, and we're loading weight on our hand with the weight of the baby. So we're putting a lot of pressure on the muscles that most likely are already weak because we don't use this flexion all that much. So all of those muscles that we have at the top of the forearm are definitely underused. And if the muscles are weak, we're putting more strain on the tendons that join our muscle to our bone. So that really very often causes tendonitis. So let's join me on the mat, and I will show you some of the exercises that I found very helpful in my condition. We're going to start with interlacing our fingers together, place the palms together, and rotate your hands up and down to warm them up. This is really using the circumduction movement of our wrist, and it's very good as a warm-up exercise. And turn the other way. I consider it to be one of the exercises that you can do anytime, anywhere. You can do it in your car, you can do it at work. Shake your hands. For the next exercise, we're going to exercise the maximum flexion and extension in our wrist. So we are going to start with the extension. Place your hands on the mat and put some weight into it until you feel a gentle stretch in your wrists. So we want to do a couple of repeats on back and forth, and don't forget to lean to the sides to exercise the ulnar and radial deviations. Very good. Turn your palms 90 degrees and repeat. So each time you want to get to the point where you feel that gentle stretch. Don't overdo it, you don't want to be in pain, but just get to that edge when you feel the extension. Okay, so our fingers are facing towards our knees, and now turn them towards each other. Back and forth and to the sides. Turn your palms down because we want to exercise the flexion of our wrists as well. And you will find that some of the sides are going to be harder than others. Turn your fingers towards each other. Turn them to the front of the mat. And turn them to the outside. Okay, shake your wrists. The other exercises I find are very useful is really putting some weights and exercising the muscles of the forearm on both sides. For that, I use very light weights, 2 pounds, and I like to rest my forearms on something, on a chair or on a block here, just to support it, so I'm not using any additional muscles. I'm really focusing on the muscles I'm working on. So from flat palms and wrist, I'm lifting up, really focusing on the flexion movement to isolate those muscles. We're going to do just 5 reps. And turn your palms the other way. And we're going to do the same thing. So this time we're raising our hands up into the extension. And one more time, and release. We're going to do the hammer motion to target our ulnar and radial deviations. And release. I find those exercises are the most efficient if you do them several times a day, And just doing a few repetitions, just like we did here. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and you learned something valuable that will help you keep your wrists strong and healthy for many years. Thank you.